Hey guys, thanks for tuning in to the Dude Fax podcast. We're glad that you're listening. Hey, it has been a heavy week around here. You guys are aware of the tragedy in Nashville and the innocent lives lost. You also have probably heard about the helicopter crash at Fort Campbell where 9 soldiers were killed. We want to invite you to join us in prayer for these families, for emergency support personnel, for pastors and chaplains right now who are in the midst of a difficult season. And we just want and hope that throughout all this, that God brings his comfort and strength to families, and that we're just reminded of his great providence and love for us. Hey, we know that the Dude Fax podcast can be humorous and funny and silly, and we want to be that distraction for you guys, but we also want to teach you something. So we're just 4 guys who love to have fun, but we also love Jesus too, and we hope you learned something today. We want you to partner with us. Hey, we are looking to support efforts to get clean water to communities around the world that need it, and we're actually going to be doing that through World Vision. And one of the ways that you can support us is you can buy a Dude Fax T-Shirt. So go buy a Dude Fax T-Shirt, and when you buy a Dude Fax T-Shirt, proceeds of that will go toward clean drinking waters. Help us build a well in communities that desperately need it. Today we're going to be talking about holidays and traditions. Are there Easter traditions, since it's right around the corner, that distract from the gospel? We're going to be talking about that today, and so we hope you'll engage with us as we have a lot of fun, as Ryan tries a weird Easter treat, as we talk about our crazy epic tournament madness, and as Grant tells more dad jokes, and as Josh surprises us with his new wardrobe. So stick around and listen. We hope you enjoy.
Affirmative.
Welcome to the Dude Fax podcast. 4 guys united by their love for coffee and corny jokes come together to talk about Christian culture and the ups and downs of ministry. So sit back, relax, grab a cup of joe, and enjoy. The podcast starts now.
Affirmative.
Hello, Dude Fax family. It is good to see you. Well, we don't actually see you, but hopefully you see us or you're hearing us. We're glad to be here for whatever this episode number is. I missed one, so I don't know where we are, but we are glad that you are joining with us today for this next episode of the Dude Fax podcast. We're excited. We got some great stuff for you today. We're going to update you on the epic character March Madness NC double something, what would Jesus do? Final Four. It's going to be awesome. And
Jesus Jew.
That's right. Great topic tonight because as you're listening, it's the Monday before Easter. We're going to talk about Christian holidays and if the way we celebrate them is more of a distraction than really a good thing. So it's going to be fun looking into that. Also, it's the national championship today for the NCAA tourney. Who is still in it? I mean, I thought everybody lost. Is there anybody left?
I mean, there's a good chance a team from Florida is in it, but we don't know yet because technically the semifinals have not happened yet.
So as we're recording, it's just the Final Four. I have not paid any attention to this tournament this year.
As soon as Baylor went out, my bracket was busted, and I gave up.
I think everybody in America has busted brackets. It's Florida Atlantic University and San Diego State vying for a chance to go to the championship. And then you got Miami and UConn, which are a little bit bigger schools. UConn is good at basketball, but Miami, usually more of a football school. So we'll see. It could end up being Florida Atlantic and Miami, which would be an all Florida Final Four. That'd be
So that's
interesting.
no number 1 seeds, right? Wow. Crazy.
This ain't your grandma's tournament.
Bag of wolves.
I'm just
That's
gonna
what the
start
winner's
playing
gonna
that
get.
anytime there's a pause.
Also, just so you guys know, Jeff and I might have a little echo with each other. Jeff.
Why? Hello.
Well, so I spent a few. I spent a few weekends in Jeff's house, and maybe just my spirit remains there.
Makes me think of the Grinch movie with Jim Carrey. It's like, you're an idiot.
You're an idiot. You know, people are already wondering. We haven't really talked about this, but Josh was in the hospital, not too long ago, and we were freaking nurses out. I don't know if freaking them out is the right thing. I think we were just making them wonder if Josh and I were more than just two dudes who like to dress nice and sit close to each other and stare into each other's eyes.
Yeah, because Jeff was wearing. So I'm in the hospital in the emergency room. Basically, my heart is stupid, and it wasn't working correctly. It is now, very well. But he came to visit me, and he was dressed very nice. Jeff, you had a nice cardigan on. What's going on there? Oh, we have something to show you. Yeah, there we are. So he's wearing this nice cardigan. I was awkwardly only wearing a very thin hospital gown and very little else. I mean, I did have, my unmentionables on, but more than once we were asked what our relationship was to each other. And not for like official reasons.
That's just a compliment. They could just tell how close you guys were.
Yeah.
Just
I mean, I would just say,
friendship.
oh, he's my friend, and just smile longingly.
It was it probably threw him because you had your hand on my leg.
I mean, you're in a hospital. Where do you put your hands? I mean, I don't want to put them on the equipment. I mean, your leg is like the only thing I could do.
Yeah, there's no armrest, so your leg is the next logical thing, right?
Josh, what
That's
brand
true.
of car do you drive?
A Subaru.
And
Jeff has a Subaru. Grant, you have a Subaru.
I don't have a Subaru.
I thought you had one.
No, I drive a convertible Mustang.
Same thing.
Me and Grant both drive Fords, so
So I actually drive a Dodge Ram. My wife drives the Subaru.
Yeah, I drive the Subaru. My wife has a Toyota Sienna. So I also ride a bicycle around in spandex and lycra. So
One-wheel drive, baby. It's a bicycle hat.
yeah, but that's a mountain bike.
Mm-mm.
Oh, is that a road bike or is that
It's from a road bike guy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
it's from a unicycle.
You wear spandex and lycra too. Okay.
I do. But the key is
that
there.
comfortable?
No.
It's incredibly comfortable. What? Mine's freeing. And the way I don't make it weird is I just have to be faster than them. So I don't have to worry about not staring at dudes' booties. I got to worry about them staring at mine. I'm going to be faster than them.
There's the guys that are wearing a kit that is many sizes too small and it stretches out to where it's a little like transparent. You don't want to be behind that guy. Bulbous?
Bulbous.
It's kind of like a Whitey Bulger. That guy. Don't want to be that
He's
guy.
in the Vancouver Cycling Club.
Whitey Bulger.
I bet
Well-
whenever you pass him, you probably slow down a little bit. Just for fun.
No comment.
Want to sit on your grandpa's knee and whittle.
Ugh.
All right. Well,
I got to unmute. Yeah, with that being said, Ryan, you were on it. Maybe time for comments.
yeah, I think that's a perfectly natural, uncomfortable transition into comments.
This comment got a little awkward real fast.
Much like our comments normally do, I feel like. Especially if David Cates is the one tagging us on Facebook. So the usual rigmarole, comments. We love to hear from everybody that watches our show. We know we have a couple loyal listeners out there, and some watchers. So check us out on YouTube, like, follow, subscribe, Instagram, TikTok while it's still here, all the good stuff. So on to some comments. So last week I apologized to who I thought was thought we were told that Pam was the one commenting on our YouTube videos. But this week, using Pam's account, Tad said it really is Tad listens to all the podcasts. He said he doesn't have a YouTube account. That Pam doesn't have the same sense of humor that he does. So I think to just avoid confusion, we'll just start referring to Pam and Tad as Tam
Or Pad.
Pad.
Or
Yeah,
Pad.
one of the two. Tam or Pad. We'll get it. We'll link everybody in there.
I do think, real quick before going on, Tad, we need a little explanation of this. Do you not have your own YouTube account? Do you have to ask Pam for permission? What's going on there? I mean, you're the man of the house, right? And what kind of what kind of sense of humor does Pam have? I'd like to hear Tad's explanation on that.
A detailed explanation of the
And now there's controversy over who gets the shirt, because technically it said Pam in the comments. So maybe we'll just send the shirt and you guys can fight over it, and or maybe you can share it. One day Tad wears it, one day Pam wears it. But regardless, I mean, you can still go out and buy a shirt and both have a shirt, right?
That's true.
That's probably the best solution, honestly. Hey, and just think about this way. If you buy 2 shirts, a kid is not going to go thirsty. Tad, don't let that guilt sit on your shoulders.
Very true.
We'll explain that momentarily.
Oh yeah, I did want to note one of Tad's other comments in relation to our top 5 from last week of the top 5 things to eat at a potluck. Tad said, "Grant, I'm with you concerning cold green beans and casserole at a pot yuck." Thought that was funny. He said, "Jeff, how did you not put deviled eggs on the list? I'm gonna have to make my top 5." And he said, number 1, deviled eggs. Number 2, fried chicken. Number 3, baked beans. Number 4, potato salad. Number 5, banana pudding. Those were all solid.
That's a quality top 5.
I think so. That's a quality top 5 for any meal.
Mm-hmm.
You could eat that daily and then die at 45.
You could eat that daily, but not decadely.
Yeah, right.
Well, like I always say, die happy, but make a heavy corpse.
That's why Baptist potlucks are so amazing. There are so many good foods. I mean, really, I probably should have done like a top 50, because 5 just doesn't do it justice. So many good
go
foods.
on for days.
In fact, they do go on for days. I mean, I think I've been to potlucks where it's like 3 days. It's Wednesday night, and they just have another service. They call it revival, and they're still
My
eating.
favorite part was always the leftovers at potlucks. You got people trying to offload their leftovers, and I'm like, send them with me. I'll take them.
Bring them on.
It's like the loaves and fishes. Jesus had leftovers.
Yeah.
I'm just waiting for the Jesus juke. I'm surprised he's not.
Jesus juke.
Well, I think one way to really determine the quality of your church is not just if they have a potluck, but the size of the plates provided for that potluck. if it's just a normal, round plate, you probably need to do a little church hunting. But if they do like the platter plates
The
or
big oval
even,
ones? Yeah.
yeah, the big oval ones, you got people that aren't new to this game. They know what's going on.
Mhm.
But the best is when they have the take home, like styrofoam
Clamshells.
but not the small ones, like the big ones with the little
Deep pockets.
deep pockets in it. If you found that church, you found one that truly loves the Lord. You should stick around.
It's like finding a good woman. She's a keeper.
That could be.
Is that because she has deep pockets, or where are you making that connection?
It's both. Deep pockets, good food, all that good
Makes
stuff.
good food.
Bag
pays
of
for
rolls.
everything.
A bag of rolls.
Has a bag of rolls. There you go.
That's something you don't
I
want
would
to tell
never
her,
tell
though.
my wife. Yeah. Sweetheart, you have a bag of rolls.
Unless she's actually holding a bag of rolls, then you're
Well,
safe.
you could just tell her it's like from the Message translation of Song of Solomon. Instead of your neck is a flock of seagulls or whatever it is. Wait, that's the band. But instead of that, it's you. I don't even want to say it.
It's the new
Your
body.
Your abdomen is a bag of rolls.
Jesus Juke.
That new body positivity version of the Message. They're really pushing that.
Your body is a temple of happiness.
Which I appreciate. So,
We have talked about, Josh and I were looking through interesting versions of the Bible one night when he was spending the night with me. And
put that picture back up.
He drove over to Subaru.
I was in another room.
but we were together while reading Song of Solomon. But anyway, YouVersion, you can play the person will actually read it. And we were reading some great passages of scripture with some interesting versions. And we talked about using some of these interesting versions and quoting Song of Solomon. I don't know if you've ever had the KJV, straight KJV read of the account of Balaam, but man, that is pretty hysterical. So go back and just have somebody read. It actually sounds like a little like Morgan Freeman reading you Balaam and his donkey in the KJV. So encourage you to try that out on YouVersion if you haven't done it.
Looking for a good uplifting time in the Word.
Can we just give a sample of that? Because I have Love Song 1. This is Song of Solomon in the Hawaiian Pigden version. And Grant, you're wearing Pidgin. How do you say it?
Pigeon.
It's pigeon. Okay. All I have pigeon. I just have HPB. But this is Song of Solomon 1:1. I'm going to do my best. This the bestest Solomon kind song.
Kind.
I like for you kiss me over and over, because when you make love to me, as mo better than when I drink wine. Nice how you smell. When people use your name as you like they stay, pour out perfume kind oil, as why all the young Wahines love you. I don't know what any of that said, but
Bag of wolves.
Was that pretty good?
I like the Southern twang.
Yeah.
Adds a good
it's my own spin
depth to it, yeah.
I mean, Hawaii is the most southern state.
Morgan Freeman needs to read it next time.
You should get one of those, the AI generators. You can make people. You can get voices, different people to read things out that you type. We should do that.
Oh yeah, like have Snoop Dogg do a speech for you.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
that'd be great.
I'm just picturing the two of you laying there reading scripture, and Jeff being like, "And there's a friend that sticks closer than a brother," and Josh going, "Right, I know, right? Cool, right? That's me.
That's exactly how it happened.
Same pillow. Is this my cue?
You're on mute, Josh.
I've been on mute, but I was going to say we had this song playing while we were reading Song of Solomon to each other. Hey, are there more comments?
No, that's it. But I think that's a good transition into our sensual dad joke for the week.
Yes. All right, this one's inspired by last week's topic of denominations. There's a small town that had 3 churches. A Baptist church, non-denominational church, and a Methodist church. And all pastors were trying to get to know one another. They're fairly new to their roles. And so they decided to go on a boat outing together just to get to know one another better. They decided to go fishing. And while they're out there on the water, the Methodist pastor says, guys, like, this is really awesome because ministry's hard. Like, I've been wanting to share some of my struggles with somebody, and I just had no one to share them with. You know, I struggle with drinking. Almost every day I go to the office, and I have a really hard time keeping my hands out of my liquor drawer in my church office desk. So thanks for this brotherhood. I really appreciate this. The non-denominational pastor says, you know, now that you kind of opened that door, I'm grateful too, because like I really struggle with lust, and my new secretary is the most gorgeous thing I've ever seen on the face of this earth, and I'm really struggling. And they look at the Baptist pastor, and he's there giggling. And they say, well, what's your problem? He says, well, I struggle with gossip, and I cannot wait to get back to shore.
Baptists are bad about gossip, or as we call them, prayer requests.
Oh, yeah. Hey, so I have a tournament update since it is March Madness.
Oh, yeah.
And I can share who has won our epic movie characters fighting each other tournament, because we have a winner now. So the voting happened, and you guys picked this. I not only put it on the DudeFax IG, but put it on my personal one as well. So I had some other friends jump in and chip in. So this is not just us picking. This is who you guys selected to win the tournament. So we had Jason Bourne versus Yoda. And first, if you haven't watched our little dollop that me and Ryan and Mark did, we just knew, or had this feeling, it was going to come down to Yoda versus Gandalf, 2 wizards fighting it out. Well, I'm here to tell you, Jason Bourne pulled the upset. He beat Yoda, propelling him to the championship. So he's going to take on whoever wins between Darth Vader and Gandalf. Well, again, we thought the wizard would win, and it was close, but Darth Vader came out on top. That's right. I got my little friend Frank here. He just wanted to join in. Actually, he's here because if Darth did not win, he was going to do something to me. So I made sure that we announced that Darth won. But Darth taking on Jason Bourne, looked at the votes, tallied them up, and Darth Vader had the most. So Darth Vader is our champion. He wins the DudeFax Epic Movie Character Tournament. So happy March Madness now that it's April.
Happy March, April Madness.
Darth Vader. And he beat Jason Bourne? That's who you...
He did. I don't know if he used the Force on him or how he finally got... Because Bourne got by some pretty epic fighters. But Darth took him out. Darth, the only 1 seed. That's right. Darth, the only 1 seed to advance. And Darth took him down. Everybody else, 2 seed. So everybody likes number 2, I guess.
I'm a big fan of number 2.
If that were a movie, it would just be hide and go seek.
Somebody left a turd on the bathroom floor.
So yeah, comment, let us know who should have actually won if you don't think Darth Vader was very deserving.
Yeah, comment and tell
personally,
us who you ridiculous people were putting Jason Bourne over all these other people.
People just really like Jason Bourne, I guess. I didn't realize he was still so popular. I figured John
I
Wick.
figured that'd be dated.
But Jason Bourne, yeah, he's the man.
Well, he was my pick to win the whole thing, and I voted multiple times with different accounts. So
that's why.
It's probably just because it was Matt Damon. You know, if Will from Good Will Hunting was in the running, I probably would have voted for him to win it all.
I actually want the Matt Damon that played Loki in one of the Thor movies. He was actually playing a version of Loki that was where he was acting as Loki on a stage production.
That was one of my,
detailing Loki's life.
That was one of my favorite bits. And it didn't even look like Matt Damon. Then you check it after. Like, oh yeah.
This is probably where we should do something else before this gets too nerdy.
Yeah, we don't want to dive into that. Well,
That is affirmative.
I don't know.
Well, we do have. Oh, go ahead, Ryan.
Oh, I didn't know if we had anything else before this, but I do have something special for the podcast. I don't know if you've maybe noticed, any of our viewers that are watching on YouTube notice I'm dressed all spiffy today. Got my tie, my jacket.
Do we have some music for this? I'm working on it. Okay, good.
But that is because I am here to share with you the joy of Peeps Pepsi. So I am your soda sommelier for this episode.
Is that a thing?
And I'm gonna make it a thing. We got a Peeps Pepsi. It's a nice 2003 vintage.
2003?
2023. Sorry.
Hallelujah.
I'm glad it's not 2003. At least my insides are glad. I do want to point out that the notes that you'll experience with this wonderful drink are artificial marshmallow flavored Pepsi taste. So
this
I don't know what
Peeps
that sounds like. So we're
mixed with Pepsi.
Yeah, and
essentially,
yeah,
sounds like two things that shouldn't be combined.
It's
like those drinks at
that
Sonic.
Probably shouldn't exist in the first place.
You know, at Sonic you can get like the Nerds slushy or whatever it is. I mean, just terrible.
I
But
actually
Peeps
drink
Pepsi
that regularly during the summer. It's pretty delicious.
Well, you probably like this then.
So yeah. So I guess live on camera here, we'll give it a taste, and we'll let you know. Or like, let's get this in here.
We got music.
ASMR.
Yeah, it's
Josh just muted.
There we go. Sorry, it's not wanting to cooperate.
Ah. That's it. Okay. That is some music.
You may need to turn it down a little bit.
All right. Let's hear this crack. Oh yeah.
This is the same music we used for your other segment.
Oh, that smells good, really good. All right, let's go. Let's give it a nice swig here. Swish around a little bit. Yeah. So, I could have gone my entire life without ever tasting that. That was not good.
Does it have an oaky afterbirth?
It's got some kind of afterbirth. I'll tell you that.
Peep afterbirth.
It's got a Peeps afterbirth. So if I were to describe it for you, it's got the initial hit of Pepsi, like the Pepsi Cola flavor, which is just like you wish it was Coke type flavor. And then you're immediately just assaulted by this sickeningly sweet flavor of marshmallow Peeps. So, yeah, if that's something you're into, definitely give this a try. It's at gas stations and Walmarts now.
But Ryan, that was your first taste. I would like to see you chug some of that.
Oh my gosh. I just want you to know that I haven't had a regular soda in like 3 months. So this is going to be...
Well, you're going to be drinking a lot of them if you're going to be our soda sommelier.
I'll be your diet soda sommelier. All right, let's see.
Chug it, chug it, chug it, chug it, chug it, chug it, chug it.
Oh, oh man, it's nasty. Oh.
Don't spill any on the bow tie.
I spilled a lot. Yeah, that was rough. I think I only got like half the bottle.
So, as Jim Gaffigan would say, Peeps good, Pepsi good, Peep flavored Pepsi nasty crap.
Yeah, probably. If you like both of those things, I think all three of those things are nasty craps. Probably wasn't a good starting point for me.
I love Peeps. I'm a big fan of.
You know, my dad's family, like at Easter and stuff, would always have Peeps, and we never had it at my mom's family. And every time I get Peeps, I was just like disappointed it wasn't chocolate.
Yeah, the chocolate ones are good, but I'll take them. I have a very low standard when it comes to sweets. Like I'll eat about anything.
You guys ever put Peeps in the microwave and watch them explode? That is a great Easter tradition, let me tell you.
Well, speaking of Easter traditions, have we covered everything? We have covered everything.
Yeah, I think we're good.
Yeah, I think this is a good transition. Our topic. Thank you, Chewbacca.
That was accidental, by the
way. They usually are.
That wasn't Ryan's stomach.
Yeah, it's going to be.
Speaking of Easter, so Easter's coming up in a few days. We just had, at the time you're listening to this podcast, we've been through Palm Sunday, which is the day that Christians recognize Jesus entering into Jerusalem for the final week of his life. And Easter's coming up in a few days. This is actually a big week for Christians. A lot of different holidays, things that we recognize and ponder this week. So we thought it would be a good time to just have that discussion on Christian holidays and the way we celebrate them. So we've got some fun stuff even planned for that, but then getting into that question of, do our celebrations of these holidays distract from the gospel? So we're hoping to unpack that a little bit. And so we're going to take a short break here, and then we'll jump back into that. We hope that you stay with us to listen to our discussion on this topic. And as always, as we're talking through it, make sure to leave your comments, and we will read those during the podcast. So we'll see you guys again in just a moment. Hey, DudeFax friends. Aren't you glad that it's real easy just to grab some clean drinking water, either out of your sink or right from your refrigerator? There's people living in areas around the world that don't have that same luxury that we do. So here at the DudeFax, we're partnering with World Vision to have a well installed in one of these communities, and you can help us with that. We're looking to raise $150 for the installation of this well, and you can help us raise that money by purchasing your very own Dude Fax T-Shirt. There's a link in the comments down below to hit our merch store. Go there, choose the color T-shirt you want, purchase that, and a portion of those proceeds are going to go right to installing that well. Thanks so much for listening to the episode today. We hope you enjoy the second part. Hey, welcome to our topic portion of the Dude Fax. Thanks for listening to this episode. We're going to jump in today to discussing Christian holidays and the ways that they're celebrated. The big question is, the way that they're celebrated, is that a distraction from us being able to really spread the gospel through our celebration of these holidays? And there's a great comedian that all of us enjoy listening to. His name is Jim Gaffigan. You've probably heard of him, but he's got a great bit where he talks through some different holidays and the ways that we celebrate them. And he talks about Christmas and Easter. We wanted to play the Easter clip for you. Just to jump us into this conversation. So here we go. Hopefully it works.
Easter, that's a weird tradition. Easter, the day Jesus rose from the dead. What should we do? How about eggs? Oh, well, what does that have to do with Jesus? All right, we'll hide them. I don't follow your logic. Don't worry, there's a bunny. Ridiculous.
Oh,
I'm muted. There we go.
Everyone was muted there for a second.
I was just going to say, I really love that clip at the end where he's like, "Oh, don't worry, there's a bunny."
Yeah,
Like,
it's the best part. It's like all this doesn't make any sense, and then let's just put a bunny on top of it. Sounds good.
my favorite part of that was at the end of it. We're talking about hiding and Easter and being gone, and Grant was missing. So, it's perfect. Good timing.
Alas, I have returned.
yeah, is that a more glorified body you came back with, though?
Do you not realize I have had diarrhea since Easter's?
That's gonna be me if I drink any more of this Peeps Pepsi.
Easter has some weird traditions.
It does. Now,
Well, and you know, that comment he makes about hiding when she's like, but it's about Jesus. He's like, don't worry, we'll hide them. Talking about the eggs. I mean, I love how he just pokes fun at how ridiculous it is that's the way that the bunny, the hiding of the eggs is the way that we celebrate what Easter really means. But I do love getting an Easter basket.
Well, you guys
I'm
know
all
about
about
the
those
origin of
eggs.
the name. Like,
Yeah,
yeah.
go ahead. Talk about that because it's really interesting.
Yeah, Easter comes from the pagan goddess Eostra, who appeared all over Europe, because all the European white Christian dudes really ran wild with this whole Christianity thing. But it was a celebration of fertility, and the symbols were an egg and a bunny. And there are traditional colors associated with Eostra, and they were the pastel colors. 3 in particular, I can't remember. I want to say it was like pink, yellow, and purple. But essentially, Christians said, well, Jesus brought newness of life, and it happens around Passover, and Passover determines our celebration of Easter. So they kind of hijacked the name Easter.
Jesus
I guess
Juke.
reclaim.
well,
I knew that was going to come.
It's kind of like a weird kind of like historically, it's kind of a cool melding. Like you see, as Christianity spread throughout Europe in earlier times in history, you see like these pre-existing traditions that existed there. I think it comes a lot from like German traditions, especially. And as Christianity kind of went on, as people started, moving towards Christianity, they just kind of melded these like family traditions that have been around for years, and were able to, use that to further, and it just kind of like became one thing for them. And we get to today where it's just like, oh, we celebrate Easter where Jesus rose from the dead, and then after church we got our kids with a giant bunny guy in a giant bunny costume hunting eggs outside. So like it's really disjointed, and I actually find it kind of fascinating and funny to some extent.
Yeah, we definitely have a melding of pagan ideas, obviously religious ideas, and everything else in between. Commercialism, especially here in the United States, has just formed our holidays to what they are now, obviously. And so Easter's one of those, obviously Christmas, Halloween, really all these holidays that we typically have a Christian celebration, have all these unique things. And obviously I'm one of those that doesn't think that people who are doing Easter baskets and Easter egg hunts and all that are doing it because they want to honor the pagan traditions. It's just tradition that's just been sort of created through all these things and now made it. But it is fascinating because you do have a lot of Christians out there who adamantly oppose doing any of those traditions that basically are outside of Scripture, outside of just strictly, a celebration of Jesus, his life, his coming, his death, his resurrection, which I think is quite interesting. And so I think it's going to be a fun little discussion to hear what you guys think, because it is wild, some of the things that Christians will come up with as reasons why they don't, go see the Easter Bunny or get Christmas presents or whatever.
Maybe we should start with just kind of an overview of some of these holidays. Which ones, would be considered, Christian. So of course, we've talked about Easter, and this week you've got Palm Sunday, which when this episode hits would have been yesterday. And then Thursday is, that Maundy Thursday. And then Friday's Good Friday and Sunday is Easter. But then you also have the season of Lent, which is the 40 days leading up to, is it Passover? 40 days leading up to Passover or Easter. But then of course, Christmas and Advent, which leads up to Christmas. And then even Thanksgiving, that's got a Christian, background to it as well. The 4th of July, despite what a lot of churches worship services around that time, is not a Christian holiday.
It's not America and Jesus.
Sing "God Bless America"
but that is
in the hymns.
That's an interesting parallel, though, because that was the beginning of our country. It was like the 4th of July. Like it kicked off 7 years of war, us versus England. But Jesus was in town, like for the first Easter, he was in town celebrating Passover, which was Israel's 4th of July. Like that was a celebration of when God passed over the Israelites and slaughtered all the firstborn of the Egyptians so that they could be free as a nation. So he was in town with, some assume, as many as maybe 2 million people in Jerusalem to celebrate their birth. So it's funny, like the people that get butthurt. I mean, they're just missing opportunities to celebrate Jesus. Like, I view the eggs and the bunny as like that's a great illustration for my kids when they see bunnies. I want my girls to think, oh, cool, because Jesus gives us new life. Or like eggs, yeah, just think about Jesus. Now he gives us new life because Jesus was interacting with this holiday when he died for our sins.
So you're saying because Jesus was American, he would celebrate the 4th of July?
Well, he's always painted white. David, if you're listening to us, send one of us a video of you doing the Jesus walk. Please. Thank you, David. David's got this great, Jesus walk that Jesus does in every movie. It's the best.
I don't think I've seen this.
Oh my gosh. David, please do it.
Play it. Show a little sample.
Yeah. Yes.
No, but yeah, I think it's a great, it's a great example, Easter in particular. We have so many of these other holidays that, we take these traditions that are, kind of just, regardless of what they're based on, and regardless if they're based in pagan traditions, like they're just like, it's just humanity for us to take, oh, we've been doing this for hundreds of years or whatever. Like, let's just keep doing it and keep passing it. It just passes down to generations. And eventually it just becomes something that's different from what it started as. And I feel like that's a lot of, especially with Easter traditions, it's, a lot of those things came from those early European Christians that were still intermixed with those, pagan communities. And so they figured out a way to celebrate together. And then as we've gotten down the line, we get to where, you know, they're fun, but also, as Grant said, we can take them and use them as illustrations for the gospel. And so, you know, even though they have their roots in something, you know, doesn't mean that we can't take it, redeem it, make it for the greater good. I think with a lot of these holidays that, you know, people get so hung up on that, you know, I don't want to celebrate anything that's outside the Bible. And I'm like, well, you know, a lot of like traditions aren't biblically mandated. They're just things that we do as a people. And Easter is a great example of that, I feel.
So I think, you know, most of us or all of us probably have similar views on these things, but just for the sake of stirring it up a little bit, because I agree, you know, I think these are opportunities to be able to, you know, not only teach our children, but also, you know, show people the goodness of Jesus and use a very celebratory time to point to Jesus. And so I recognize there are opportunities through Christmas, Easter, that as people are getting excited about bunnies and presents and all those things, the commercial side of it, that yes, we have opportunity to, you know, display Jesus and put him on the marquee and celebrate him as well. But at what point do you think, yeah, maybe it does become a little bit too much of a distraction from truly celebrating Jesus? You know, everything from his birth to his death to his resurrection, and what he did on the cross and his life. I mean, at what point do those things become a distraction?
I'd say a good litmus test would be if you didn't have those things added, would you still be excited about the holiday? Because, yeah, I land with you as well. You know, our kids are grown now, but, you know, we did the Easter baskets, and we actually never did Santa. If there's some young kids listening, Santa is real. And but now plug your ears. Yeah, now close your ears. You know, we never did that, and we talked about how it's a game that a lot of kids play, and don't go and tell them it's not real because they like the game. But so even though we did a lot of those things, we would always try to make sure our kids knew, you know, what it was all about. But I'm sure even in my life, you know, leading up to Christmas and these things, there have been points in my life where I don't think I could say, you know, if it weren't for the added things that we do, would I really be excited? And I hope that as I've grown and matured in my faith, that's not an issue anymore. But I would just say it's a good test. You know, if no matter how old you are listening to this, we can get wrapped up in those things. So would we really pursue celebrating the season if Santa was removed, if gifts were removed, if the egg hunt was removed, whatever those things are, to figure out if it's distracting us from what is pure about those holidays?
Yeah, I think that's a fair point because, you know, I know just from my personal experiences with whether, you know, people in my own family or, you know, in-laws type thing, like there are some people that if you like, it's just specifically talking about Easter, like if you don't have an egg hunt, some people will just riot and that it's like Easter's ruined. We can't have Easter. Like there's no egg hunt. And that's kind of like, you know, when you put it to that point, on such a pedestal to where it becomes more important than, you know, the celebrating Jesus, it's, you know, at that point you're just missing the entire purpose of all this, of the whole celebration. And you've made it about your own, you know, satisfaction and not about, you know, Jesus's sacrifice and return.
That's why I love the original Grinch Who Stole Christmas. You know, the Who's all come out after the Grinch stole everything, and they're still singing in celebration. Mm-hmm. So very cool. But yeah, I think that is a good point, Josh. You know, removing all those things, are we still celebrating? And I love engaging those things. One, because they're fun. I mean, and now that I'm older, I don't care so much about the presents. Just give me the food. But it's fun to engage in those things
Bag of rolls.
because, yes, give me all the rolls, all the jelly rolls, donut rolls, all those. But, you know, when we have opportunities to celebrate those things with our kids, with, you know, others in our community, with church members, whoever, we get to, you know, show that while we are set apart as children of God, as followers of Christ, you know, we're still human. And it's not sort of that thing as we're trying to appeal, you know, by trying to be cool or whatever to humanity, but it's still showing that we have the same needs, wants, desires, you know, that, you know, Jesus has changed our life and the trajectory of our life, but, you know, we're still human. And I love the way that we can connect via the holidays. People just seem happier and enjoy that connection. I'll share one quick story specifically with Easter. Is a few years ago, I had the opportunity to, because I'm a chaplain, had the opportunity to participate in my unit's Easter celebration, which was basically all the soldiers and their families came out to a park and they did a big Easter egg hunt for the kids. And I brought my kids, but it was really neat because the commander of the unit actually asked me, "Chaplain, would you like to have your own corner and to do like a story time with the kids?" And I said, "Absolutely." I said, "But it will be, you know, very Christian." And he said, "No, that's fine." And he said, you know, it won't be mandatory anything. It's just an optional thing if they want to go hear your story time. And so his wife made me a little sign, said story time with the chaplain. And I did the entire, I don't know if you guys have seen the eggs that have the story of Jesus's crucifixion and resurrection in them. And so I used those as my illustration and kind of just walked through you know, the story of Jesus's crucifixion, his death, and his resurrection. I really thought it was neat. It was neat to see kids, and these are a lot of unchurched people, but just sitting around and hearing the gospel. And I remember having the thought, like, if I was one of those who just was adamantly opposed to doing anything that came from tradition other than, you know, my Christian faith, I would have missed a golden opportunity to share the gospel with probably 100 lost people that day.
Yeah, I want to tag on to that because, you know, Scripture, you know, we're commanded to be in the world, but not of the world. And there's a verse out of, I think it's Jeremiah. I can't remember the reference, but I'm sure it is. That the prophet is talking to the Israelites as they're in captivity in Babylon. And he says, seek the welfare of the city where I've sent you, because in its welfare you will find yours. And so as Christians, we're supposed to live in our society, in the city we live, in a way that really benefits the lost and the culture. We need to, and he goes on, he's like, plant gardens and vineyards, you know, these types of things, like really bring good out for your people who have you captive, like make food for them and grow flowers, plant gardens, make it a beautiful place. And I don't want to misapply that passage, but I think there's a general idea that wherever we live as Christians, how do we do good in the city where we live? How do our churches do that? So I used to be really against any churches that did like Easter bunny and egg hunts, because I thought, man, you're just distracting from Easter and the resurrection. And I eventually got that stick removed from my rear end and realized, you know, we can do these things. And I actually just came on staff at a church here in town that we're doing an egg hunt on Saturday, and we've got Easter service on Sunday. And it was really funny. Our pastor a couple of weeks ago, or it was just this last Sunday and the Sunday before, he's going through our schedule, and, you know, we're doing a communion service on Thursday, and then Friday, for Good Friday, it's just like a Stations of the Cross, you know, prayer thing where people can come and go through these times of prayer. And he was really talking about that and what Good Friday means to believers. And then he gets through that. He's like, well, there's no good way to transition from that. We're doing an egg hunt on Saturday, and it was just humorous, trying to make that change from Good Friday to the egg hunt. But the church has adopted a elementary school here in town. It's actually up the road from where we're living right now. The church has a mission house that we're staying in, and it's in a community that has a lot of need, and there's a lot of kids there that come from some homes that are rough, and so we're going in, and they've done this the last few years. We're going to do an egg hunt, and we're going to have games, and we're going to feed them, and that's going to be about it. But what we're trying to do is go into a community and take something they know, and just have fun and love them. And Jesus came to recreate the world, and part of that is the recreation of our bodies and the redemption of our soul, and the redemption of the kid's soul, and all this, but just to make things good and right. And we foreshadow what he's getting ready to do, I think. And I don't mean to make light of his resurrection and Easter, but I think when we go to a community and do an egg hunt, we're foreshadowing the good that's going to come when Jesus returns and recreates this world, because we're just trying to bring benefit and wholeness and good into people's lives. So yeah, there's a way to do that. But then if that's all we ever did, and then we didn't say, hey, we'd love for you to be a part of, we're celebrating the resurrection of Jesus tomorrow. If we just did those things, we're misleading people, and we're just doing social justice and fun events. But if we really want it to affect the gospel, affect the community with the gospel, we have to also have it tied to a biblical foundation. But I don't know. I think there's ways for us as believers to really be engaged in these type of events and use it to benefit those in our community.
I do have one question, though. Is in the eggs that you guys are hiding, are there going to be testaments?
No,
Ooh.
Just rolled up scripture verses.
And
Okay.
only
It's
that.
what every kid wants.
Toothpaste.
No candy or anything. Just
Floss, pennies.
Well,
Testaments
to
don't exist.
for our listeners, that's Jeremiah 29, Josh, is what you're referring to. And it's like when Israel was complaining, they wanted to go back to Israel from captivity in Babylonia. And God's like, no, you're staying, plant gardens. And the only way you're going to benefit is if this place benefits. It was pretty challenging. We're in the Northwest, a little different culture, but like Halloween, a lot of churches do a trunk or treat or a safe alternative to get the people to the church to not be out in the streets. But the way that we handled that last year as a church was, guys, what an opportunity. Our entire neighborhood, our entire city is going to be out and about. So why would we go and hide here at the church when all of your neighbors are going to be visible and out? So we actually enabled them. We gave them candy to give out. We actually gave them notepads to take names like, hey, my neighbor's name is Bob. I've said hi to him for 5 years, but write down his name because you met him that night at your house, and write down what house he lives in. So next time you see him, hey, Bob, how is your mom doing? I've been praying for you. Like, just a chance to view the world differently. And I think a lot of people ask, well, what would Jesus do, especially with the holidays? Jesus interacted with like every Jewish holiday. I'm one of those curmudgeons around Christmas. I'll say happy holidays to people. It's usually people in checkout. So like, oh, Merry Christmas. I'll say happy holidays. And if they give me any feedback, I'm like, Jesus was Jewish. He actually celebrated Hanukkah. In John 10, he celebrates the Feast of Dedication, where it's not even scriptural. It's between the Old Testament and New Testament. The Jewish people kicked the Greeks out of their country after they sacrificed a pig on the altar of the temple in Jerusalem. And they led this revolt, and they rededicated the temple back to Jesus, to the Lord. And Jesus celebrated that very festival. And he taught about himself and the nature of the kingdom of heaven. He just saw every opportunity that people had to celebrate as an opportunity to teach about the kingdom of heaven. And so to like dismiss it, oh, that's evil. Well, is not your mindset evil that's pulling away from the world and not engaging them with a message of the gospel? It is good news.
But if we allow people to say happy holidays, aren't we removing an opportunity for us to get our panties in a wad about something?
Apparently so.
I like it. I like doing that. I don't know if I can agree with that, Grant.
I actually just have a follow-on question for Grant, which I think is a cool idea to send your church out into their community on Halloween and meet their neighbors. But did you explain to them that when they're asking for their names and writing them down and writing their house numbers down, to not do it in a creepy way? Like,
don't do it in front of them.
423.
It's just like, it's like the perpetuating, like, don't put a Christian bumper sticker on your car if you're a terrible driver and cut people off left and right. Like, I would hate for people to pull into my church parking lot after being a jerk driver and then pull out of the church parking lot to go be a jerk driver again. And it's like, man, I for some believers, like, please don't decorate your house for that holiday as a Christian. Like, you don't represent it. You don't know any of your neighbors by name. Mm-hmm. Like, you're not praying for a single, this idea of non-believers, you can't name 5. Like, please don't misrepresent who Christ is.
Okay.
And that doesn't seem to be what
Christ couple is. Responses. One, church we used to attend, they had stickers for your car. It just said Christ follower. And it didn't say with the name of the church or anything, but just kind of designated, that you were a Christian. And I popped one on my wife's van and she's like, no, take that off. She's like, not the way I drive. And I don't want to change the way I drive. Like, all right. We, so something similar that we did at a church we were part of in the past is kind of the same thing you're talking about, Grant. We encourage people to, set up a real cool spot in their driveways on Halloween. And I know we want to do a Halloween episode, so maybe we don't need to talk too much, but but kind of the same thing. We're like, listen, if you need help buying hot dogs or apple cider, make it a place where people will stop, let us know. And so we gave some gift cards. We gave some gift cards to some people in the church so that they could purchase these kinds of things. It's the first time I ever did something like that myself. And it did exactly what you were talking about. I've lived around these people for years, but actually gave me a chance to talk to them and get to know my neighbors. And it did change, when seeing them then, the next day or the next week or whatever, there was a connection. We had eaten a hot dog together on my driveway or whatever. And finding a way to engage in a productive way with our neighbors on those, in the ways they're going to go ahead and celebrate it, whether we do or not. So we might as well take advantage of that.
I think it's just overall just a prime example of meeting people where they are and not expecting them to come to you.
Yes.
Remember that episode of Seinfeld where Kramer had everybody wear the name tags, or no, he put their picture up and had their name on it, and so everybody knew everybody. And then Jerry was the one who didn't want to continue doing that because everybody was hugging and kissing hello. So it is a little bit. I mean, obviously, if you're extroverted, it may be easy to do this, but if you're introverted, it takes actual effort to go out and meet your neighbors. And I think this is sort of an easy way for the introvert, or maybe even the person who struggles finding ways to meet their neighbors, connecting with where they are. So when they're outside throwing a big block party on the 4th of July, you're out there playing cornhole with them, eating a brat, whatever. Just looking for those opportunities. And I'm speaking of one who struggles with this often because of my introverted ways, is, figuring out the non-awkward ways to walk over and say hi and hang out. But, it's not always easy, the Christian life, but, that's why we have the Holy Spirit giving us, the ability to be able to engage and, if anything, just love our neighbors to the point of where we're like, you know what, I don't care if it's awkward. I'm going to go over and be with them, hang out. And, like Ryan said, go where they are.
Yeah, we have the idea that it's build it and they will come.
Yeah.
And I mean, from the first century of the church, it's always been seek them and share with them. And that's how you reach people. It's never build it and they will come. It's seek them.
Yeah, that's a good reminder. Jesus left the 99 to find the one. There is always that go and tell.
So you're saying that Jesus was reckless then?
Well,
Maybe
Don't put
that
that on
maybe
me,
that's
man.
why maybe that's why your wife doesn't want the Christ follower bumper sticker, because she doesn't want people thinking, "Oh, if she's following Christ, Christ must be a reckless driver." And then we got reckless love. See how it all connects?
Dude, there was a bumper sticker that said, "Do you follow Jesus this closely?" I think I saw it in Tennessee.
yeah, that's around here somewhere. Okay, so there's probably people listening that maybe they have kids, and maybe they're concerned, well, if we do these things, how do I teach my kids the truth? Or maybe you're a ministry leader and you want to be able to you still want to communicate that this is good to do, but how do you still teach? How do you still teach the truth? There's some great tools out there. Jeff mentioned one, the Easter eggs. And if you're talking about the same one that we use, you have a dozen of them. They come in like an egg crate, and each one has a different item inside of it. It's almost like an Advent calendar, except for Easter. And so for the days leading up, you open an egg. And so it's good with little kids, elementary age kids. And there's a little story or devotional that goes with whatever the item is inside of it. And it's preparing them for that, but it's still an egg. It still has that fun aspect of Easter. And you can find things like that to add into your celebration between, and an Advent calendar is a great way to do it at, leading up to Christmas. And by the way, Christmas does not start until the 25th of December, just so you guys know. So it's Advent, and then anyways, and then Christmas celebration is 12.
But when are you supposed to put up your Christmas tree?
Technically on Christmas Eve or Christmas Day.
October 10th.
Yeah. when Walmart puts their Christmas decorations out in August.
So not on September 15th?
I mean, you can,
Okay, if my mother's dying and I need to buy her shoes, Josh, what day should I buy her those shoes?
See, if you celebrate Christmas after, then you get everything cheap on that Monday or that on the 26th, whatever it is.
Sorry, Mom, you're going to have to wait till the 26th.
But see, if you play it right, you get to enjoy all the Christmassy things for a long time leading up to Christmas. But then you get 12 extra days to celebrate. And then there's a really cool, I know in Puerto Rico, they celebrate Three Kings Day and they give presents then. So if you play your Christian holidays right, you get presents on the 25th and then again 12 days later. We're just missing out. Oh, but to go back to...
And then you say, Mom, Jesus celebrated Hanukkah. Give me 8 more gifts.
But to go back to what I was saying, just look around. There are tools, parents, that you can find out there to add into these celebrations to easily teach your kid like the Christian elements and the reasons why we have these holidays.
And kids are smart too. I mean, it's like I have a 5-year-old and a 3-year-old, and to like at their level, it's super confusing. Like we read kids' Bibles all the time. You don't hear about Easter's bunnies or eggs or even the word Easter unless you read a particular King James, which did print that for a stretch. They called it Easter in Scripture. That's so wrong. Anyway, like they don't know, but they know that we do that on Easter. But they know that Jesus gives us new life, and those represent new life. So even keeping it simple and being willing to say, man, I don't know. It's just a weird tradition, but here's what Jesus actually did for you.
Well, that reminds me of something. We're kind of running short on time, but let me throw it out there for like a little grenade as we try to end.
Yeah.
Easter's coming up. Is it appropriate to call that our Easter service, or should it be Resurrection Sunday?
Same with Halloween and Reformation Day.
I love our Halloween Sunday service. Oh, it's so fun. That's a good point.
Jesus, Jew.
Resurrection Sunday.
I don't know. I think at a certain point you're arguing semantics, but as long as you are clear on the fact that you are celebrating the resurrection, regardless of what you call it, I think that's what's important.
Agreed.
Well, and talk about tradition. Like the Sunday, the day before this premieres, we call it Palm Sunday, right? And on that Palm Sunday, as Jesus is cresting, yes, for hands, just for clapping, all of our charismatic brothers shout out. But as Jesus was coming over the Mount of Olives, like he's seeing into the walls of Jerusalem, and the first thing he's going to see is the temple, like where he's going to die. And people are praising him, assuming he's the dude that's going to kick out the Romans. And like everybody that was like, we don't know who was there when Jesus was tried versus when he was praised on Palm Sunday, but like no one understood what Jesus came to do. Like even when he was crucified, his own disciples run. It's not to the Holy Spirit that like anyone gets it. So even like doing the Christian thing and like marching our kids out and raising palm branches and like, yay, Hosanna in the highest. Like that meant completely different things to us now compared to then. Like we have hindsight. We know he died for sin. He didn't come to kick out the Romans and launch some Jewish independent period like the Maccabees, what Jesus was celebrating during Hanukkah. So it's like so we'll just die on certain hills and not others. Even in tying this into our hero contest, Gandalf, that's a Christian wizard. He's good. Harry Potter, that's the evil wizard. He's bad. It's like we dichotomize and say this is good, this is bad. What are we even doing? Are we actually teaching about who Jesus is and what he came to do? And if it helps you do that, kind of like to your point, Josh, praise the Lord. If not, okay, don't die on that hill. Maybe just have fun and let it go.
So you said, I think you were getting ready to say, Grant, that you guys call it Resurrection Sunday. Why did y'all make that decision? And I'm fine with either. I'm just wondering what led you guys there.
Yeah, it's we're doing something totally different this week. I was really convicted. We did 4 weeks of Advent services leading up to Christmas. And that's pretty traditional. Like a lot of churches will give Christmas 4 weeks. That's like 2 chapters in 2 gospels. About a third of each gospel is dedicated to Jesus' last week of life and ministry. So we're kind of doing like an Easter Advent almost. And we are calling it an Easter Advent series, but like looking at the last week of Jesus, because like so much happens. I think it's like Matthew 20 through the end of 28 is like the last week of his life. Like it's so much content, and we'll give it triumphal entry, maybe a Good Friday, and then a Resurrection Sunday service. But because we're parsing it out so much, like we're celebrating his crucifixion this Sunday. Like what do we get from him dying? Because we gained certain things from when he died, but we also gained certain things when he rose. And so we're hyper-focusing on the death this Sunday. We're focusing on the Garden of Gethsemane on our Good Friday, or as I'm trying to call it, Black Sabbath, but no one's buying in. And then we're celebrating the resurrection on Resurrection Sunday, just hyper-focusing on what did we gain because he rose. Like when he died, he paid our debt. That was forgiven once for all. The curtain was torn then. We had access to the Father then. But then our story would end with death. But because his story continued with resurrection, that's what we have to look forward to. It's like we're hyper-focusing on the resurrection, so that's why we're calling it Resurrection Sunday. But I'm fine calling it Easter Sunday too, to be honest. So
you teased your sermons. If you got people from your church listening, they just don't have to go now.
Just got the play button.
Do you know the taxi driver and pastor joke?
No, but I got a feeling I'm getting ready to.
Yeah, pastor dies, goes to heaven. Taxi driver dies, goes to heaven. The taxi driver gets the best of. Taxi driver gets the best of everything: gold crown, purple robe, nice leather sandals from Peter, because Peter welcomes everyone into heaven and jokes. And Peter gives the pastor a burlap sack, wooden clogs, and a wooden stick. And the pastor says, "Whoa, whoa, whoa! I was a pastor, and he drove cabs." And St. Peter says, "Yeah, but when you preached, they slept, and when he drove, they prayed." So my people are sleeping.
All right, we probably need to wrap this thing up. That's a really good discussion. Any final thoughts on that?
I think you should call it Black Sabbath. Yeah. And
I'm really trying.
Crazy. Yes, that would be.
I started calling it Black Friday, and then I said, "Wait, that's like the Sabbath, the actual Sabbath." Black Sabbath. Come and worship our Iron Man.
I am Iron Man. That'd be awesome.
Right?
I do have a treat for you guys as we wrap up here. I wanted to show you something.
Ooh.
Josh is taking off his clothes, everyone.
Oh, man.
Peeps.
And I can see it all. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
He has a tattoo of a Muppets baby.
What's going on, fellas? The best part is when I stand up and my belly starts sweating.
Because it's a 931, baby.
So
You should just cut it, make it a crop top.
it already is. I realize on the back it says seniors 16, so it's like the senior shirt from a few years ago. I really want to wear it to the gym though.
Yeah, people are going to see that and
do.
be like, man, that dude aged quickly. He graduated in 16?
Do you think it?
Yeah, I
COVID
would
was
take it as he
stressful.
actually looks really good. As he graduated in 1960.
Would it be creepy if I just walked around in front of Clarksville High School with this shirt on? Okay.
Yes.
If you filmed it, I'll give you $1.
Bag of wolves.
I think we should test it out and just see how it goes.
You could test it out just by walking downstairs in my house, and whoever's down
We're
there,
gonna do
seeing
it.
their reaction. Because I've got like a bunch of random
What's
kids
happening?
in my house right now.
I feel like that shirt needs a couple of tattoos to go with it. You need like a barbed wire around one arm, and then maybe like a heart with it says "mom" on it or something.
And maybe something right here.
Oh
Yes.
yeah.
So the tribal one.
I want to look for nipples on And nuts.
Those are cool.
Oh, you guys could. I'm sorry, I was
Clarksville.
muted.
Sorry, I was.
You need something in like Korean that says "I'm stupid," but that you think means like wisdom.
Hey, our
It's funny if you do.
as we wrap up here, I think it'd be cool to go ahead and like tease our topic for next week because I'd love to hear your thoughts on it. Do you guys know what our topic is next week? I think we texted about it, but we're going to be talking about Christians and creativity. Christian art,
Yes.
because there's a lot of things we can talk. Music, visual art, movies, Kirk Cameron and Left Behind. There's some good things for us to talk about there. I love to hear just even this week as you're thinking about our next topic, man, any thoughts that you have on Christian art and creativity? Who are your favorites? What do you think is really cringy? We'd love to hear that. That's right. And on that note,
Hey, by the way, next week should have a new rap to let you guys hear.
Perfect.
Speaking of art, that sounds like a fart.
I'm really excited about this.
Waiting on bated breath.
All right, let's wrap it up. Thanks for being with us. You guys have a good time, good week, good day, whatever.
Juke.
We out.